The best race car drivers in the world don't actually turn the car with their hands. They turn it with their feet. Hey guys, I'm Daniel Morad, now a two-time winner of the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and what I said is true. You actually do turn the car with your feet and your pedals, not entirely with your hands. Think of your steering wheel like a tool that's going to help guide you through the corner, and your feet really help dictate how sharp or how open the corner is going to become. So the point of this video is basically to help you understand contact patch and weight distribution of your car, and that's going to ultimately help you control and master the balance of your car. Regardless of weight distribution, regardless of engine placement, we're going to go through some examples on my sim right now, and I'm just going to walk you through different cases and mistakes you potentially could be making behind the wheel of either your real car or your virtual car. And hopefully by the end of this, you get a better understanding and you can really master the balance of your car. To explain everything so you can understand a lot better with imagery and visuals, we're going to use iRacing as the simulator of choice. It's my sim of choice to connect myself with the real world and to prepare for races. For you, it may be a different sim, and that's perfectly fine with me. We're going to use the Mercedes-AMG GT3. I really love it, obviously. I'm driving for Mercedes, so better love it. We're going to do it at Sebring International Raceway, turns 1 through 5. I feel like it's a really good section of track where it's quick, technical, and also there's some low-speed corners with some switchbacks. So we're going to be able to really push this example to the limit to understand the balance of the car using different techniques. To show you what I'm referring to, let's jump over to this camera angle and the telemetry, and I'm going to run you through that now. For the telemetry, you can see that green line right there. That's actually representing the throttle, and the red line is representing the brake. So when I go through each of these corners and you see exactly what I'm doing, you'll know how much brake I put on, how much throttle I put on, and what the outcome was. Like, what did the car do when I broke really hard, when I broke really light? So now that you know what these bars or these lines equal, it will help you understand what's actually going on through each of these corners. We're also going to be using the active reset feature in iRacing, so I'm just going to constantly reset at the start-finish line and go through that first section of track. We'll just keep doing that over and over again until we get an understanding of what's going on. So going to turn 1, let's go with a hard brake effort to start off with. And just really aggressive on everything. Aggressive throttle, aggressive braking. And we'll see if it works or what happens. Right, this is probably the technique that most people use to start off with. Really aggressive, hard braking. You can see that it didn't really work out so well. A lot of understeer there. So using that heavy brake technique and really heavy acceleration, you'll notice that the front end really just doesn't work. You oversaturate the front tire, and what that means is you're just asking the front tire to give you too much grip, and it can't do two things at the same time. It can only decelerate or do the cornering. So by you braking late and hard and really aggressive with the steering, you'll notice that the front is not really responsive. It just tends to be really numb on the front axle. So let's see how we can fix that by braking a little bit differently and also accelerating differently, because when you go hard on the brakes, like I said, the weight goes fully forward. If you oversaturate the front, it just basically dies. So you lose front grip and it's sliding on the front tire. And if you go really hard on throttle, two things can happen. Either you get wheel spin and you lose the rear end on exit, or you can make the front of the car come up off the ground really aggressively, which takes that contact patch away from the front tire. So you're lifting the front tire out of the ground, because I mean, you can see it with the motion rig. The thing just sits backwards. The car sits back, the weight comes off the front tire. So let's try to do this differently. We'll brake lighter and late. Light and late, and we'll see what the effect is. So let's do a late brake into turn 1, and we'll see. see what happens. We lose the rear now. Now, because we're light and late, the weight transfer's gone to the front. We haven't oversaturated the front. You can see how I just lose the car so easily. I initially went to a hard brake and then came out of the pedal, and you can see that with that red trace. And the moment I came off the pedal, I start losing the rear of the car. That's because now I initially oversaturated the front tire by asking too much of it. The front tire died, and then once I started rolling out of the brake, it got grip really late in the corner where the balance is still on the nose. So that's not good, obviously. We don't want that. We don't want to have a balance where it's completely on the nose and really pointy. So you can see how now we've taken two different examples and done two different things with the exact same car setup. The first time we went through, absolutely no front end. Zero steering. It just understeered to the end of the earth. Second time we went late and light, and especially in the high-speed corner, it was really, really bad, where I completely lost the rear, and then coming into that turn 3 section, again, lost the rear. When I got off that hard pressure, you saw, initially my instincts kicked in. I went into the pressure and then released off. But when you go to the light pressure and the front tire has a little bit of grip and a little bit more weight transfer than you would want at that specific point when you're turning in and you're asking the front to carve, now it's just all on the nose, and the rear tires are actually up in the air, so you have a small contact patch in the rear, which is why it's unstable on corner entry. So let's try to fix all this mess by just braking hard and early, and we'll just get off the brake early, and we'll see what that does to the balance. Before we get to like the perfect or ideal technique, let's just see what a hard brake pressure and an early brake with hard pressure does to the car. And it's going to be safer, but let's just see. The balance will speak for itself. So I'm going to go with a hard pressure. Off the brake. Okay, really slow. Down an extra gear. Okay, so fully off the brake, turning in. I mean, it didn't seem that bad, right? I made it through, but it's not very fast. Not very quick at all. And the reason is when you kill off the speed initially and you bring the car back to a neutral balance, meaning you're off the pedals and the car's platform is a little bit more balanced in terms of weight distribution on front and rear tire, then it's actually not so bad, right? Only thing is you're slow. You know, it feels safe when you do that, when you're braking hard and early and you just drop the brake, but there's a thing called trail braking, which obviously everybody has heard of or knows how to do it to a certain extent. Now, there's a time and place when you use trail braking. In the AMG, for instance, you use quite a lot of trail braking because you really want to keep that weight over the front axle and carve the entry. We saw how braking late and using a light pressure can actually work against you because now it just has too much front grip. So there's a fine balance between when and how you're trail braking. So let's just go into it and we'll try to fix the braking, and then I'll explain a few things on the other side of the corner from middle off, very basic level stuff, to showcase what improper throttle technique can now do. Because, I mean, ultimately the most important thing is learning how to do the corner entry. The throttle application is generally a lot easier. Let's jump into the final attempt. I'm going to try to piece everything together and do a nice clean trail brake and proper technique and show you how much faster you can go through the corner if you just do everything in the right way. So I'm going to brake earlier, lighter, and really float that speed in. And you can just see how smooth it is now. Squeeze the pedal. Roll out of the brake nice and smooth. Early, light, long. And how beautiful was that? Balance was good, speed was good, everything looked great. Now the best way or the easiest way to learn these techniques or this specific technique and to bring speed through the corner with the right balance is by just dialing back your brake point. When you attack a corner, you should always know where your brake point is and have a visual reference on where you should start initiating your brake. If you're braking too late and you're feeling like the car is controlling you, just move that brake point back to allow yourself the ability to dictate when you want to get off the brake, like I just did in that example. I broke earlier, lighter, and longer. And sometimes you don't even have to brake longer. You can just brake earlier and lighter. And if you feel like, oh, you know what, I'm going too slow at this point, I need to get off the brake, move the whole brake point deeper into the corner. And you know, if you feel like there's too much coasting period in the corner, then you can just move it deeper and deeper. But it's very important to have a fixed visual reference point as to where you're going to brake. I mean, this is basic level stuff here. It's not revolutionary. It's just hopefully easy for you to understand and digest so you can use these techniques and hopefully improve your driving a little bit. But let's look at the final piece of the puzzle now on the other side of the corner from your basically middle of the apex off the corner. I want to show you what improper throttle application would look like and how you can avoid this to prevent either a snap of oversteer on exit or a lot of understeer off the corner. So let's just look at like an improper throttle application. So most people through this corner go to power too early, and then look what happens. Understeer, you go wide, and usually it ends in tears. That was an incredible SimuCube Ultimate save. But yeah, the early throttle application usually kills you because you're going to power and you're lifting the front end off the ground. So in a high-speed corner, if you go on throttle too early, generally you get a lot of understeer. And that's a classic mistake that you can make at Sebring in turn 1. When you go on power early out of a low-speed corner, typically it may not always be understeer. It could be a snap of oversteer, but it could be understeer into an oversteer late, which is going to cause you to lift off the throttle. And of course, if you're going to attack a corner exit down the following straight, it's the last thing you want to do is lift off throttle. You want to carry all the momentum down the following straight. So let's try this again where we have proper technique, and I'll show you it takes a certain level of patience to wait for the nose of the car to be around the bend of the corner before you start to squeeze on the power and really start to open it up, carrying the momentum down the next straight. So we're going to be really patient through T1, applying our light, long brake. Wait. For Sebring, it's usually that cone on the wall. And you notice how my hands don't really do too much. I'm just accelerating and turning the car with my feet. So waiting for it, squeezing. Same thing's going to happen here. Wait. Now squeeze. And generally speaking, it's very smooth. So these are the basic techniques that you could use for yourself. And hopefully I've run through enough of those examples to showcase what's going to happen if you do these certain things. And of course, this could always change if you have a car that is either mid-engine or rear-engine. The technique will change, but the weight distribution doesn't. You always have to think, where is the weight going on the car at every point in the corner? If the car is already really sharp and pointy on the corner entry, the last thing you want to do is have the weight on the nose of the car. So you really want to neutralize the weight balance, get off the brake pedal, so that's going to require you to brake earlier and release the pedal earlier so you can bring the car back from nose down to more of a neutral balance. And the balance will be much nicer in the corner. And also you'll be able to carry way more speed. If you're braking really late, really hard, you're sometimes getting a lot of understeer or snaps of oversteer on entry. Think about backing everything up, taking it down to like a calm level where you feel like you're in control of the car. And as you get more comfortable, then you can start attacking more and more. We've tried a ton of different techniques. You saw what worked, what didn't work, and everything in between. So let's try to wrap this whole thing up back at the desk. And I want to give you something that you can take away so you can fully understand what's happening underneath you. I mentioned that you steer the car with your feet, not with your hands. I think this video proves that. To sum it up really simply, you should always be smooth with your steering input. As you apply your steering angle into the corner, you get to your maximum steered angle that it would take you to go through the corner, to guide the car through the corner. If you feel like there's an imbalance in the car, whether it's understeer or oversteer, think about what you're doing with your feet and make the correction based on the balance of the car underneath you at that given time. If you have a lot of understeer, think about how much brake you have in the car. If you have a lot of oversteer, also think about how late and hard you are on the brake and how much weight transfer there is on the front. Also on throttle, if you're going to power early and you're feeling understeer off the corner, just wait a bit longer. You need to coast a little bit longer through the middle of the corner. It's okay to let the car coast. I know that textbook driving means if you're not on the brake, you're on the gas. That's what all these driving skill training books or tutorials will tell you. If you're not on the brake, you're on the gas. And yes, at a certain high, like at a higher level, it's definitely true. But even me at the highest level of GT racing, I sometimes coast through the middle of the corner because the car needs it. So listen to what the car needs, pay attention to the balance underneath you, and drive accordingly with your feet based on what's happening. If you feel like the car is controlling you, back it up. You want to be in control of your car. Now, I want to hear from you guys. What technique are you guys using down in the chat? And I'm sure you're going to come up with some funny ones, but I actually want to know, like, of all the different techniques we tried, what's generally your style that you gravitate towards, or your natural technique that you would like to improve upon? If you're a perfect driver, which I know most of you probably already are, and you have nothing to share, just down in the comments, write two-time. Two-time for celebrating our Rolex 24-hour win 2 times now. And it just helps with the engagement, and it helps this video reach a larger audience. So I'd really appreciate it if you did that. Now, you've also made it to this point, right at the very end of the video. Make sure you smash the like button down, because you obviously like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. It's going to be a crazy year. We're going to be so busy with real life racing. I can't wait to bring you along for the ride.